Have you ever sat down to experiment with using ChatGPT, maybe to write some copy for an email or to help you with social media? And then the response that you got was just like, it was just okay, or it sounded like everything else you've heard, or it didn't quite hit the mark. Well, if any of that sounds familiar, then this episode is for you because today we are going to be breaking down the 10 ChatGPT prompt mistakes that a lot of people are still making with this new technology that is making it seem like it is not as great a tool as it really is. Welcome to Purposeful Presence. I am your host, Coach MJ. I'm a published author, a keynote speaker, an event producer, a brand strategist, and all around serial entrepreneur. And this show is about giving you practical tips, insightful strategies, and mindset shifts around your branding and your social marketing so that you can elevate your brand and attract the customers and opportunities that you deserve. Most people do not realize that ChatGPT, Claude, you name it. There's so many. I'm not even going to start naming all the AI tools out there that can help you write. They don't realize that they are only as good as the instructions that you give it. Yes, it is highly intelligent, right? But a human mind or a whole bunch of human minds are the ones that have programmed AI to work in any of its forms. And so it's only going to be good as the human connection. I saw the Matrix, and I don't want to ever believe that there's going to be a time when machines that are made by humans can be better than humans themselves. And so the instructions that you give it are going to be what determines how good and useful the responses that you get from ChatGPT. Just know that I'm talking about ChatGPT because, as I say often, ChatGPT is a paid actor in my business. They are on the payroll. And I depend heavily on it. But this applies to any of the AI tools that are helping you to write copy, create images, whatever you're doing with artificial intelligence, or whatever you would like to be able to do with artificial intelligence. This information today is going to apply to you. And if you have not yet started using AI, what are you waiting on? Right? Business is moving at the speed of artificial intelligence. And if you stay in the dark ages, you're going to get left behind because decisions are moving faster. Content is being created faster. Deals are being closed faster in large amount due to artificial intelligence. You just need to learn how to leverage it properly to get the results that you want. So let's get right into it because I have to go early today. So I got to get through this episode really quickly. Okay. The first mistake that you could be making with ChatGPT prompts is you're being too vague. So if you go on there and do something like write a social media caption, and you're going to expect it to be this great thing that's going to be specific to you, ChatGPT gonna look back at you and be like, "What? Write a As a matter of fact, I think if you're that vague, write a social media caption. I think it'll probably ask you some questions like, "Can you tell me what the post is about? What's in the image? What is the graphic? What is the event? Like, what is it? I can't just give you. I don't know. Social media caption is too vague. It doesn't know your goals. It doesn't know your audience. It doesn't know your brand tone unless you tell it. So instead of saying write a caption about self-care, which is still too vague, say, write a 2-line upbeat Instagram caption about self-care for busy entrepreneurs who struggle with burnout. That second prompt is going to give you a lot better of an outcome than just saying write a caption about self-care. And a bonus, if you have a particular format in mind, such as you want it to be a list, or if you want it to be like in storytelling format, or if you want it to be based off of answering questions, include that in your prompt. Again, I'll say this over and over. Your ChatGPT responses will only be as good as the input that you give it. Next mistake you can be making with ChatGPT is to overlook the audience context. In other words, you assume that ChatGPT knows who you're talking to. We kind of alluded to that in the first mistake. Your audience might need a different style of communication than a generic response provides. So if you're talking to teenage girls, you're going to have a different tone than if you're talking to seasoned attorneys, for example. ChatGPT needs to know who you're talking to. So give it some context, such as write a post for creative entrepreneurs, that's the audience, creative entrepreneurs who want to grow their brand using Canva. So now you're giving it some specifics that it can work with. A caption for real estate agents will read differently than one for wellness coaches. Always specify your audience. The next mistake you could be making with your ChatGPT prompts is that You're ignoring the tone and the style. In other words, you are forgetting to tell ChatGPT how you want the context to sound. Just like my voice, and I don't mean the sound of my voice. Well, I don't mean like the tone of how you hear me speaking right now, but I mean the words that I use. I sound very different from Elisa Nichols or from Dr. Sonia Stribling. I have a slightly different tone or a very different tone from those people. How do you want your content to sound? It might, if you don't tell it, then it's going to default to a neutral, stiff, or overly robotic type of tone. And that's going to be a dead giveaway, first of all, that AI wrote the content. Okay. Instead of being forgetting to tell it your tone and style, go ahead and state the tone. Say, make it fun and conversational. Put that in your prompt before you hit enter. Keep it professional and informative. Write it like a social media post, not an essay. You can say things like, write it like it's two girlfriends talking to each other and just gossiping. You can do that with that conspiratorial tone. Tell it you want it to be very playful. Whatever you want it to be, you have to tell it. That's what you're going to hear over and over. So if your brand is playful and high energy, ChatGPT needs to know that. The good thing about ChatGPT is that it has a memory and it's always remembering everything that you tell it. So eventually it will be trained to speak like you do. But I still would advise that unless you've been using the same iteration of everything for months, continue to give it all the instructions. It doesn't hurt to put it in there to make sure that it is giving you what you want. So tell it what tone you want. Next mistake you could be making with your ChatGPT is overloading it with details. So trying to cram everything into one big massive prompt. And I've seen some really big ones. And sometimes depending on what you're writing, it's appropriate. So it's not that big prompts are bad. You just have to know how to use them correctly. ChatGPT sometimes though can get overwhelmed or it'll give you a disorganized response because it's given too much information. So instead of giving a big old prompt and it's confusing ChatGPT, just break it up. Ask it for an outline first and then request the section that you want individually and then finally refine and tweak it. Even the free version of ChatGPT lets you get, I don't know, about 10 or 12 responses every questions or chats that you can have with it every day. So you have time to say, give me an outline. I mean, I even use that to outline my topic that I'm talking to you today. What I outlined, ChatGPT helped me to write so it could organize my thoughts and it would take me less time to know what I wanted to talk to you guys about. Okay. So instead of dumping your entire website copy into one request, tackle it page by page. That's just an example of what you can do if you're using your website to generate copy. Don't overwhelm it. Next mistake you could be making is accepting the first response and moving on. I had to learn this the hard way. I thought that as soon as it spits something out, it must be great. But over time, I realized that everything sounded the same or kind of sounded like that robotic sounding or very not like me. Don't take the first answer. Even artificial intelligence, I should say, especially artificial intelligence, needs to be refined. The first draft is rarely the best one. So ask it, can you make this shorter? Can you rewrite this with a bolder tone? I always say, can you give me more detail or rewrite those to sound more like me? Now, I can say sound more like me because my ChatGPT is trained to know how I sound. And sometimes it just forgets. So I'll say, make it informal, but still professional. I mean, I give it what I want to give. It's okay to use slang or, whatever you want to say to it. Don't just accept the first answer. Go ahead and say, I need you to give me more detail or less detail or expand this section or rewrite this, but don't use these words. Okay. You wouldn't publish the first draft of an email without tweaking it, hopefully. So treat AI generated content the same way, or even more so, because it was not a human. It certainly wasn't you that wrote it. And you want to make sure that the draft is right when you send it out. The next mistake you could be making with your ChatGPT is missing platform specific cues or forgetting to specify where the content will be posted. You know how Facebook is different from YouTube, it's different from Instagram, it's different from TikTok, it's different from LinkedIn. The tone of it, how it's used. You need to have content that feels like it's going to those particular platforms. So if not, you'll have something that, and I've made this mistake. I'm not even gonna lie. Sometimes I would generate one version of a post and I'll use it everywhere, but I know it's not as effective and I really have to really hold myself to the fire to not do that. Okay. But a LinkedIn post, an Instagram story, and a YouTube video script all require different formats. It's different audiences. It's just different setups over there. What works on Instagram is not going to work on LinkedIn. And the good thing is you can tell it, here's my topic. Here's what I want you to talk about. Give me a LinkedIn post, an Instagram story graphic, a YouTube description, and a Facebook post, all off of this one topic, and it'll spit it out in 15 seconds. So it's not like it's more work for you. It's going to be done, but you just have to, again, it's only as good as the instructions that you give it. Okay, so include the platform in your prompt. Write this, for example, write this as a tweet thread with 5 tweets. Okay, so that would be for like Twitter, or format this as a short Instagram reel script. So this is going to be one that's going to be a short video. Write it as a script. A long form Facebook post is not going to work on TikTok. You have to adapt your prompts accordingly. The next mistake you could be making with your ChatGPT prompts is that you are using generic calls to action. You're ending your post with "let me know what you think" instead of something that sparks action. And this doesn't even just have to do with ChatGPT. This is also about just good marketing in general. Always leverage that call to action at the end to get something that you want. Even if it's go to this link and sign up for my email, or get this free lead magnet, or sign up for my workshop, or go to, like us, even if it's just like this video. Let me know what you think. Nobody's going to respond necessarily. I shouldn't say nobody. There are people who have big enough followings where whenever they post something, people don't comment. But there's really not a whole lot of value in people just commenting outside of it, but maybe boost the algorithm. But let me know what you think. That's not even telling them to comment. That's kind of it doesn't really go anywhere in their mind. Let me know what you think, because their mind's like, okay, what does that mean? Because we're not having an in-person conversation. Like, it makes them think too long or doesn't think at all, and they're not going to do it. If you want them to comment, say that. Weak CTAs, which is short for call to action, lead to low engagement. So instead, be direct and intentional. What do you want them to do? Drop and give them an emoji or a number or whatever in the comments if this resonated with you. Tag a friend who needs to hear this story. Save this for later if you struggle with branding. Register, sign up, buy my this. Go ahead and ask for what you want. I just listened to a great episode on Successful Mind Podcast with David Nagel, how to ask for what you want. Don't play games with it. Don't have people go all the way through whatever it is you're promoting, and then you get to the end and you don't ask them for something. That's why they're there. They don't know that's why they're there, but they're there for more of you. Give them the opportunity by asking directly and intentionally for what you want. So don't use a generic CTA. Tell ChatGPT what you want the CTA to be. This is all part of your prompt. In other words, you're saying, write me a post, and at the end, invite them to blah, blah, blah. You have to tell ChatGPT that, so it'll be there in the copy once it generates it. The next mistake you could be making is forgetting to ask for variations. Now, this is a good one. Sometimes ChatGPT will automatically give you 2 versions of whatever it is you ask them for, and they say, which one do you prefer? That's when it's trying to learn. It wants to know which one you prefer so it can give you and others more of that, right? Settling for just one version of the response, why do it when it's spitting it out in 15, 20 seconds? Get 2 versions. You're limiting your options and your creativity when you only have 2 versions. Instead, ask for multiple takes. Whether you get one and then you say, okay, now redo it and write it completely different so I have a different version, or whether you tell it right off the rip, give me 2 versions, give me 3 versions, and it'll do that. Give me 3 different hooks for this caption. Rewrite this in 3 distinct styles: playful, bold, and inspiring. Because you might not know what your tone is. Maybe you don't know how you want to come across in this new offer that you might be putting out, or this new brand you're putting together. So find out. Let AI help you figure that out, how you feel comfortable talking to people. Maybe how you are in your personal life is not how you want to be in your business life for whatever reason. And so you want to know what that tone is going to be, what tone works. Tell them to give you 3 different versions. I'm sorry, not them. See, I think about him like Chat's a real person. Tell it what you want it to give you, and then you can compare very easily. That also allows you to have variations for A/B testing for your social content. There are places where you can put 2 different versions of your post out and see which one resonates more. Let ChatGPT write both versions, and you won't have to worry about writing it yourself. We're getting close to the end here. We're on number 9. Not fact-checking AI responses. You assume everything that ChatGPT generates is 100% accurate, and I'm here to tell you it's not. I know that at one point, when I first started using ChatGPT, the version of the internet that it had been programmed with or that it had connected with last was like a year and a half, 2 years before. It said somewhere that I don't even know where I saw it, but it was something like, I remember it was 2 years before it was the last version of the internet. It's almost like it took a copy of the internet, dumped it in its brain, and it hadn't looked back since then. It's kind of like having one of those old, what were those old GPS things, GPS like TomToms. If you didn't get that updated, those maps were going to be off the chart because they're going to be out of date. You're not going to know what's going on, and you're going to get lost. Well, it's the same thing here. Don't assume that ChatGPT has all the answers and everything is correct. People can tell when something lacks, or can tell when AI has made a mistake, especially with the statistics and facts. I've learned, double check, triple check those websites. It usually will give you the source where it got the numbers from. And then you can go to that website to find out, is this a source I really want to use, right? Double check anything factual before posting. Now, if this is just opinions or feelings or, something like that, that's fine. But if you're giving statistics, facts, you're saying this is true about somebody else or a situation or experience, double check those facts because AI is not infallible. It is not infallible any more than human beings are infallible. I would say AI is even less fallible in that way because it's as good as it is. It's not up to the minute updated, and it doesn't have some of those nuances that the human brain. That's why I don't think AI can ever completely take over. Now, I could be wrong, but I don't think it can because you're never going to get quite that human nuance in a machine. It's only as good as the human brain that that programmed it. And then the last mistake that you need to stop making with your ChatGPT prompts is overusing AI without the personal touch. And I kind of alluded to that just now. Copying and pasting AI generated content without making it yours is a huge mistake. Even when I have it give me my talking points for my episodes, I have enough experience with doing what I'm doing right now that I'm not reading this verbatim. Like it's giving me like the top statement, and then I'm filling it in with everything I'm saying. That needs to be the case, whether it's a post, a caption, a headline, an image, whatever that is. You need to make sure that once it generates something for you, go through and see, does it sound like me? And a lot of times what I'll do, I'll give you this pro tip. If I go through and pull something off of ChatGPT and I tweak it like an email or a post, and then I tweak it to kind of sound like me, kind of that woman next door or that expert or whatever that is I'm doing, I will sometimes tell ChatGPT, here, I'm about to paste in what I finally ended up with for your records. Remember I told you about that memory that it has. It updates its memory based on what you tell it. So it doesn't know whether you used what it gave you unless you tell it. So I will tell it, here's what I finally ended up with. So I can train it to know my voice. But ultimately, always double check, because it can always stop using your voice or not get it right. Don't 100% depend on it to get it right at all times. Inject your personality, add personal anecdotes, stories, inside jokes, or a conversational touch to make the content truly reflect your brand and who you are. ChatGPT is a majorly powerful tool. And like I said, it's not just Chat. There's Claude, there's Napkin, there's a whole bunch of them. There's a million of these AI tools. So I'm just saying Chat because that's the one I'm talking about using. But only if you know how to use them correctly. When you tweak your prompts and you really refine what you're asking it to do, you're going to get high quality content that actually serves your brand. Now, do you want to see this in action? I want you to join me this week for Workshop Wednesdays. We will be touching on the use of ChatGPT in Workshop Wednesday. But the next one is going to be obviously this Wednesday, and we will be talking about campaign planning 101. How you can put together engaging, high converting campaigns for your brand. And when I say campaign, it could be a social marketing campaign. It could be something that new that you're selling, a new offer. It could be just your regular, rinse and repeat marketing that you do for things that you have on an ongoing basis. Whatever your campaigns are, you need to be planning them in a substantive way so that they get the results that you want, so that you're not just throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping something sticks, wondering why you're not getting the engagement, wondering why no one is signing up. We're going to be going through what you need to be doing to get these high engagement campaigns out into the world, because what you have to offer is so valuable and the world needs it. MelanieHunter.com/Wednesday is where you go to sign up for my weekly workshops. Again, this week it is Campaign Planning 101. Last week we were talking about branding. Every week, I think next week we might be doing something on Canvas design specifically. You don't want to miss out on it. When you get over to MelanieHunter.com/Wednesday, you will also see the opportunity to register yourself and your partner for a discounted rate. And so it could be you and a business partner, it could be a business buddy, it could be your spouse, it could be a friend of yours who has no connection to your business that you just want to share this with. You guys can come for a reduced rate. So again, MelanieHunter.com is where you go to MelanieHunter.com/Wednesday is where you go to sign up for the next workshop Wednesday. You don't want to miss out. I cannot wait to meet you there and help you to elevate your business and your brand so that you can attract the customers and the opportunities that you deserve. 2025 is already 2 months in, and we just want to make sure that our brands are giving what they are supposed to give, which is excellence. You deserve the opportunities. You deserve the customers. I want you to get there. I don't want your brand to be devalued because of how it looks to people before they ever take time to see what it's all about. I want them to think you have a huge, expensive team of marketing representatives and social media marketers and graphic designers at your disposal by showing you how to do a lot of this stuff yourself. You guys are DIY entrepreneurs. You're amazing, and you need to increase your toolkit by coming to Workshop Wednesday. So I look forward to seeing you there. This has been Coach MJ signing off for another Purposeful Presence episode. I will see you next week, same time, same place for another episode. Until